Okay, welcome back yet again. And previously we had stopped on, we looked at equations and how to solve equations. So this time round we are going to continue from where we stopped, because in the previous lesson we had agreed that we are going to look at something called inequalities. Now, inequalities are a little bit related to equations, but there are some differences here and there, and those are the differences we are going to look at in this case. Now, to begin with, what is an inequality? An inequality is a statement that has a less than, greater than, less or equal to, greater or equal to sign. I repeat, an inequality is a mathematical statement that has a greater than sign or a less than sign or a greater or equal to sign or a less than or equal to sign, any of those four signs. So you know how to write the greater than sign, the less than sign, the greater or equal to sign, and then the less than or equal to sign. So any mathematical statement with any of those signs is what we refer to as an inequality. Okay, for example, I may have a statement like, I have a number which is less than 3. So like I say, I can assume this number to be x. So when I'm writing this inequality, the inequality is going to be x less than 3. Second example, I can say that I think of a number, and this number is greater or equal to 10. I think of a number, and this number is greater or equal to 10. So the question is, how do I write this expression? There are some things which you have to note when we are dealing with inequalities. When we looked at equations, we saw that you get only one value of the unknown. For example, the x and the y, which we are letting to be the unknowns, we are getting only one value. Whereas when you come to inequalities, the unknowns have a range of values. Meaning, when I'm dealing with inequalities, I don't get only, the value is not only going to be one value. There is a range of values. For example, if I have my inequality such as x greater than 5. Now, we know that there are very many numbers which are greater than 5. So, that means that I cannot have only one answer. So, when I have my inequality as x greater than 5, that means my answer in this case can be 6 because 6 is greater than 5. It can be 7 because 7 is greater than 5. It can be 8 because 8 is greater than 5. And so on and so forth. So, when we are dealing with inequalities, inequalities have a range of values, whereas equations have only one definite value. That's one difference between the inequalities and the equations. Okay, something else you have to note is when we are dealing with inequalities, for example, when we are looking at addition and subtraction of inequalities, when I add the same number or if I subtract the same number on both sides of the inequality, the direction in which that inequality faces does not change. For example, if I have an inequality such as x greater than 8, x greater than 8. Now, if I decide to add a number, for example, 2 on both sides, so on the left hand side I'm going to have x plus 2, on the right hand side I'm going to have 8 plus 2. So, the greater than sign does not change. In other words, my expression in this case is going to be x plus 2 greater than 10, because 8 plus 2 is 10. So when I'm dealing with addition and subtraction, the direction in which the inequality sign faces does not change. Now, second case, how about if I'm dealing with multiplication or division? Now, when I multiply or I divide the same negative number on both sides of the inequality, the direction in which the inequality faces is supposed to change. I repeat, when I multiply or divide the same negative number on both sides of the inequality, the direction in which the inequality faces changes. For example, or maybe before I get to the example, the other thing you have to note is when I multiply or I divide a positive number, this time we're talking about a positive number. When I multiply or I divide a positive number on both sides of the inequality, the direction in which the inequality faces does not change. So meaning the direction of the inequality changes only and only when you multiply or you're dividing by a negative number on both sides of the equation. For example, I may have an inequality. 3 is less than 5, and that is true because we know that 3 is less than 5. So if my inequality in this case is 3 less than 5, if I decide to multiply negative 2 on both sides, so I'm going to multiply negative 2 on my left hand side where there is a 3. I'm also going to multiply a negative 2 on the right hand side where there is a 5. So on the left hand side I'm going to have 3 times negative 2, which gives me negative 6. And on the right hand side I'm going to have 5 times negative 2, which gives me negative 10. Now what happens in this case is, now that I have multiplied with a negative number, what I do is the direction in which the inequality sign was facing changes. What I mean is, if I had a greater than sign, it changes to a negative, it changes to a less than sign. If I had a less than sign, when I multiply by a negative number, the sign changes to a greater than sign. If I had the greater or equal to sign, and I multiply by a negative sign, a negative number on both sides of the inequality, I end up with a less than or equal to sign. So you change the direction in which the inequality faces when you multiply with a negative number. So getting back to the example I was talking about, we shall have negative 6 on the left hand side, negative 10 on the right hand side. So what I do in this case is I change the direction of the inequality. Since we started with less than, I change it to be greater than. So my final value is going to be negative 6 is greater than negative 10. And that is very true. Because when you look at a number line, negative 6 is greater than negative 10.